Hello everyone, welcome back to Optimal EV. In this video, we're going to be giving you a full build guide and rundown on the all-new 2022 Kia EV6.
Me and Sam actually had the opportunity to sit and go for a ride in the Kia EV6, so we saw the quality, the fit, the finish. So if you have any questions about it, leave them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's hop into the build.
Let's do it.
All right, so here we are on the Kia website, and I just wanted to point out the first thing I noticed that I really liked about the configurator is that they actually show you an X for all of the colors that you cannot get and all the interiors you can't get, and you'll see a little money sign when you can actually get it for an upgraded cost on that trim. I think that's an awesome feature.
Yeah, I don't like that a lot of websites typically just leave it up to the buyer to try and click on it and then see the price change. It's a lot easier when it's,
100%. And it is why we're here to help you figure that stuff out. But at the same time, it's nice when they make it easy for us and for you guys when building, these cars.
So for the EV6, we have 5 different trim options, 2 of which are slightly different from the rest. They're on the GT line, but we'll get to that later. The first one is light, the second one is wind, and the upgraded wind is the E all-wheel drive. These come in at $40,900, $47,000, and $50,900 respectively.
Then you have the GT line, the rear-wheel drive version, and the GT line E all-wheel drive version. You'll notice that there's 2 all-wheel drive options. They will both have the same battery size. So the Wind and the GT line will have the same battery, but you'll get the GT line aesthetics on that option. The Wind rear-wheel drive and the GT line rear-wheel drive will actually have the same battery as well. Again, just taking off the GT aesthetics. And then the light rear-wheel drive, the first one, is the only one that really separates itself from the rest. It has a smaller battery, smaller range, and is slower as well. So that's really the budget one. But we'll go into all of them in more detail once we pull up the specifications.
You might also notice about those prices I mentioned is at the top right, it doesn't actually reflect that amount. That's because the MSRP up there includes the destination charge, which is an additional $1,255.
Yeah, so we didn't add any additional options. This is the flat base price, $40,900 plus the destination fee. Okay, so on the light rear-wheel drive, you'll see that there are 3 color options. The Interstellar Gray, which is one of my favorite movies, shout out Interstellar, Gravity Blue, Snow White Pearl. So you'll see a theme on these 2 colors and then kind of separating with the pearl. That's getting an upgraded cost of $495.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on the 3 colors?
I think they look pretty good. They're pretty neutral colors, so nothing too crazy. I really do like the blue. But
the blue reminds me of the Subaru blue,
Yeah.
They're very popular for.
True.
And then for leathers or recycled fabric, you'll actually only have one option, which is going to be the black recycled fabric. So we'll take a look at that in the interior. Looks like leather. Looks nice. And I know you had a thought recently that we talked about the whole vegan leather, Sensitech, pleather.
Yeah, if you've watched any of our other videos, you will notice that a lot of these car companies are deciding to switch off of real leather, and a lot of their options are just vegan leather. It's honestly kind of hard to find cars that are still offering legit leather, and that obviously makes sense for plenty of reasons.
Yeah, and one thing with that is that the vegan leathers or the Sensitechs, they've all been getting a lot better. It's almost impossible to tell in person, side by side, which one's which sometimes. Real car enthusiasts will tell the difference, of course, and I'm sure there will be comments about it as well. But it is really stepping up their game. Every single brand has come out with an amazing alternative, and I'm sure that's where the future is going.
At a first glance, the interior looks really sharp. When we sat in this car, it's very obvious that it's going for a futuristic style. Mm-hmm. The seats felt pretty comfortable, nothing really out of the ordinary, nothing that really caught our attention. But it definitely does look like there is just like a plastic back paneling, and then they put the cushions on top of that, which I know you hate.
Yeah, I was going to mention I'm getting real Spirit Airlines vibes from this. So It looks like the big plastic panel here. Of course, other people use plastic, but it shows too much right here. I think it would have been better if they kind of continued the vegan leather here. But first glance, obviously a lot of Ioniq 5 vibes as well, which look really good. I like the screen. The new Kia logo, shout out Kia. You really did a great job with that. They needed something new. The Kia logo was terrible. Now it's awesome.
Yeah.
And then again, everyone copying our logo with the optimal EV power button. So.
I like the shifter a lot. It's all centralized. I like when it's easy to access like this, where you just turn a dial instead.
You might get a lot of haters for that. Some people really like the shifter feel.
I get it. I mean, I get both ways. My preference is just to make the
simple.
Exactly. Yeah, make it simple.
And I think it does have a different kind of pass when it comes to an EV. When you are in a petrol, sometimes people like to feel it kind of kick into drive.
Right.
On the EV, I think it doesn't really matter because it's all electronic.
Yeah.
You don't really have to feel anything. So.
Yeah, and let's get to the screen. The screen on this thing is pretty huge. I assume that's one massive piece that's kind of just split into two separate sections. It looks like it's pretty good. I really like how much information they give you right on that heads-up display. Like right below the top of the steering wheel, I think that looks really good.
Yeah, it seems a lot of companies are going for like a big integrated screen on the dash.
For sure.
I know Mercedes, BMW, Hyundai, Kia obviously are going for that vibe. I'm probably forgetting others, but it definitely is a nice feature to show the driver, have it curved to them, and the passenger can still see a nice large screen and play with all the UI.
Yeah,
so.
Something I think is nice to point out too is that the screen doesn't pop up above where the driver looks over the hood of the car. Sometimes screens make them a little too tall and they end up obstructing a little bit of the front of your car, which 100%. I really don't like.
Yeah, it's kind of like a block just in your way.
Yeah.
I agree. And another thing I noticed on the dash here is this nice, touchscreen kind of panel.
Right.
Similar to how the Ioniq 5 had a really cool textured feel to it. You definitely get a lot of those vibes.
Yeah, I've mentioned it before. I usually prefer buttons there. I think over time I will eventually get used to just tapping on things instead of like pressing them. But as of now, I think I'm a button guy.
This is at least better than what BMW is doing with keeping it inside the system only for the climate. I at least like that there's some kind of separate way to control the climate without having to figure it out in the UI. So.
Yeah, Tesla does that too, and I don't like it.
I'm sure we'll get used to it in the future when everyone does it, but for now, we like our old ways, and people sometimes it's scary change.
Yeah.
So it's nice though. It's a nice interior. We're just gonna hop into the Wind rear-wheel drive now, where you'll see a couple different options for the colors for the exterior and the interior. You'll see on the exterior side that you now have the option to get Glacier, which is a cost option of $495.
This is kind of like a creamy color. A little bit different than the Snow White Pearl.
I like it. It's interesting. It's like almost like an off-white. And then Snow White Pearl again. Aurora Black Pearl, $495. Then you can also get this nice steel gray, runway red, yacht blue.
Wow.
But you can't get the matte color on this one. But you can basically get every other color on the Wind rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, that's a pretty sharp blue in my opinion. I like that.
I like it a lot. Again, we don't know how it looks in person here, but it's definitely a sweet color.
Right, and it also does unlock a new interior option.
Yep, we have the black vegan leather, which before it was the recycled fabric, so it's still black, but vegan leather. Then the charcoal misty gray vegan leather, which actually changes the steering wheel. That's cool.
This is really nice. I know we've mentioned it before. I'm a big fan of two-tones.
100%.
I love that contrast on the inside of the car. It just looks really good.
And we don't mean two-tones like front seats are one color, back seats another color,
right,
like Lucid,
right.
just to clarify. But usually a lot of companies were doing like the first edition versions with these different changing colors.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see that they're actually giving it as a real option to get these colors. But the Spirit Airlines black stays the same. You'll see that you can't get these three still. So we're going to move on to the Wind E all-wheel drive, which will keep the same interiors as the Wind rear-wheel drive, but you won't be able to get that recycled fabric.
Right. It looks like it also offers the exact same exterior colors, which excludes the steel matte at the end.
Yes, and we're going to jump to the GT line, which I'm sure you'll be able to get that matte color in. Yes, you can, for a $695 option. That's really not bad for spending that much. You're getting a matte color. Most companies charge a lot more for that.
Yeah.
You'll see that a lot of the base colors are taken away from the GT line. They really want you to go a little more poppy and get the reds, the blues, or some of the metallic basic colors.
Yep.
We also have the white vegan leather with black suede trim, which you'll see here has a nice two-tone with the suede.
Now that's what I like about two-tone is when it's right next to each other.
And I'll go back to this one just to show the two-tone on this side. That's really nice as well.
Yep.
Any kind of two-tone looks good. And then the last one would be the black suede with the white vegan. So you'll see it didn't really change it.
Yeah, it just switches over to that suede.
Now we're going to check out the exterior where we can get the steel matte gray for $695. Definitely hard to tell on the website. I'm sure it's a really cool matte color.
Exactly. I was just going to say the same thing. This doesn't look any much different than a regular silver, but I guarantee if you saw this in person, you'd be able to tell.
100%. And now we're going to jump to the GT line all-wheel drive. And you'll see you got the red there. Again, taking away those colors, keeping you on the nice colorful options.
Yep.
And you'll actually be able to upgrade same thing from the other rear-wheel drive.
Yep. So you're pretty much just getting a performance upgrade here.
Exactly. You do jump up in price here, so it's $4,700 to get the all-wheel drive on this one. And you'll see on the rear-wheel drive Wind to the all-wheel drive Wind, you're not jumping up as much. So, just something to take a look at. What are your thoughts on the actual look of the car?
I think it looks all right. I saw this in person, and it definitely is much different than many other cars because of the rear end of the car. Yeah. It kind of sticks out in a very peculiar way. I don't think it necessarily looks bad, but I think the front end of the car looks way better than the back. And in person, the car doesn't look bad, in my opinion. It just looks different.
Yeah, I think I might have a different opinion than most. I actually really don't like the back.
That's fair.
And usually I like when lights go across the entire back.
Yeah, me too.
Again, with Lucid and other brands that do it, like Audi. It does look good, but in this case, the hump, the spoiler, it looks odd. It looks almost like it's trying to be a wagon, but it's not a wagon. I guess like an X2 has done it, other kind of crossovers, but the back's not for me.
Yeah.
The wheels look great. There's a lot of cool wheel options when you change between the packages, and the front looks amazing, but I don't know. I can't get over the back. I don't think I'd ever own one just for that reason.
That's fair.
It still is an awesome car, just the back. So to show you the difference between the GT line and the regular Wind, you're going to see that some of the trim changes not as aggressive, and the wheel options are also not as aggressive as well. Once I click here, you'll see some difference in the bottom of the bumper with more black trim around the car. I would personally go for the GT line for sure. I think the car looks much better with the GT line and in a more exotic color than it does as a simple color.
Yeah, you definitely have to consider it if you upgrade from light to Wind, you should definitely start thinking about if it's really worth pushing up another $4,200 in order to get what you need more.
Yeah, it puts it in a different class for sure. A $40,000 range to a 50 is a big jump.
Yeah. So if you're this far into the video and you're wondering what the actual difference is between most of these trims, we're going to go ahead and open up the trim comparison tool and break it down.
Now, if you want to save the time and kind of see all the colors side by side, it's right here. We just like to show them to you guys so we can kind of get an idea of what the colors look like on the car. And then the interior options as well. So you'll be able to click through the site and find out what each one is when you're actually there.
The scrolling's kind of weird on this.
I hate it.
It's kind of weird for sure. I think the way that they give you all of the information side by side for every trim is awesome. I really wish everyone would make it this straightforward. But, like Trey was saying, the scrolling is kind of weird. He hates it, but
yeah, you have to kind of go to the side to get down more and then go
Right.
in the page here to scroll inside, but sometimes it messes up and scrolls the whole page. So it's kind of odd, but I like how they're comparing it.
yeah.
So if you look at the very beginning, you'll see the length of the car is actually bigger and the width of the car is bigger on the GT line. So just because, fenders and different trim, it changes the dimensions. We're going to go to the exterior where it'll talk about the GT line styling. You'll see that you get different exterior accents on it.
You'll notice a very common theme across all of this is the light the light trim has a lot of exclusions that the other packages do get.
Yes. And we're going to show you more, but in our opinion, when we looked it over real quick, it seems that it's worth upgrading to at least the Wind because you do get a ton of features. The first is going to be really big. When we scroll down, you'll see the speakers, so we'll get to that. There's really not much on the exterior besides like the sunroof, which is important.
There's automatically extending flush door handles body color. Now, the only real difference is just that they automatically extend. So, I assume when you walk up to the car, you have
unlock it and it comes out.
Right.
But for the regular ones, you have to pull it yourself.
Yep.
Very hard, but hey, some luxury features.
You get the smart power tailgate only on those options above light, as we mentioned.
And that alone is something that's important to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Charge port door. So normally it would be a regular charge port door on the light, but then on the other options or other packages, trims, you'll get the vehicle to load external port, it says, but basically it means it's an electric version of it.
Yeah, we actually saw this in person, which is pretty cool. You just press on the charging port and out pops the door.
It's pretty cool. It's a nice kind of styling. I guess it kind of goes with that weird back. Like it has a weird shape to it, but it's nice. Normal standard stuff. Sound absorbing front door window glass. So I know it's small, but something that the light will not have.
Yep. Pretty much everything else is consistent across the rest until we get to wheels.
Yeah. So you'll see that the all-wheel drive GT line will get the only car that gets 20s. The middle three will get the 19s, and the other one will get a different style of 19.
Yep. They're your tire sizes, and then we move on to interior.
Something that's really nice is that they all get the same screen, so you don't have to worry about infotainment issues.
That's huge.
Yes, but as you see, the light gets only 6 speakers, where the rest of them get 14.
Right.
I'm surprised that even the Wind gets 14. That's pretty awesome. That's why I feel like the value is definitely there.
Yeah, for sure. And it sounds like a pretty solid sound system if it's coming with an external amp and sub.
Yeah, and it's from Meridian, so they've had a great reputation.
Right. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are both on all of the packages here.
Yep, and you'll get some wireless Bluetooth, of course, hotspot, steering wheel mounted audio, 5 USB ports, 4 USB-C charge points, and 1 regular USB-A. That's a lot of charge ports. I
Yeah.
think you shouldn't have an issue,
I'm
especially
curious-
for like a car kind of,
Right. I was actually going to say, I'm curious where they put all of these. It looks like there's 4 USB-C ports, and I'm sure that there's 2 in the front, 2 in the back for access on the passengers.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there's, I don't know, it's a lot of charge ports.
Yeah.
Power onboard generator. You don't get in the light, but you get in the rest of them. Wireless phone charger. That's important. All of them have it.
Yep. Now, here's a big one. The augmented reality heads-up display is only available in the GT models.
I guess if you're getting a sportier styled car, maybe it makes sense to have it, but I personally like to see it as a separate option. And that's one thing that, is a flaw for Kia's website, that you only get to choose the trim. There's no separate individual options you can add after the fact to, kind of customize the car that you want.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a actual reason why they only make it available in the GT line. Because personally for me, augmented reality is a huge pro. Like, I would always opt into that if that was like an available option.
Yep.
But in this case, like if I have to go all the way up to a GT line, I'm not sure if I would,
And the weirdest one is the Wind all-wheel drive and the GT line all-wheel drive have the same battery and same performance.
Right.
So honestly, I would like to at least see it on the Wind all-wheel drive. I'd understand if it wasn't on these two. But I don't know. Hey, maybe they'll change it in the future.
Yep.
Drive modes you have on all of them. We're mainly looking for the differences. That's why we're not going over each category. We want to save time, of course, and also show you the highlights. Auto-dimming interior review mirror. So that's on the first 3. And then GT lines get a home link added to that as well. Multicolor LED accent lighting. Now, that's something that's important.
Yep, but it's only available on the GT lines again. So it's a pretty cool thing to have.
That makes sense, though.
It's a
looks.
nice cosmetic.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a nice cosmetic to have that you pay a little bit more on the premium package to get.
Yeah, you can justify that for sure.
Illuminated glove box, that's pretty nice to have across all the
I feel like
of
I'm
the
surprised they would
packages.
even mention that. Is that something that most people have?
I don't think it's something that everyone has, so it's definitely worth mentioning.
Okay. Dual limited visor, vanity mirrors, recycled fabric and vegan leather. So this is where the interior gets important. You'll see that you can only get that on the light, and then the vegan leather steering materials or seating materials you'll get on everything. Plus, you'll have the option to upgrade to the suede.
Right.
8-way power adjustable seats, a lumbar support. That's very important. You'll see that the light is the only one to get the standard ones, but on all the other options, you'll actually have the chauffeur seat, which will allow the driver to control the passenger seat. Ventilated seats you won't get on the light. So again, just another major reason to consider the Wind. Speakers, the ventilated seats. There were
I think there's a heated steering wheel option coming up.
Yep. 60/40 split folding seats important. Vegan leather steering wheel.
Right.
You'll see that changes. So
And then
you'll get
here's the
heated.
option for the heated steering wheel that you only get available after upgrading to the Wind E all-wheel drive, which is interesting. I'm surprised that they didn't allow for the heated steering wheel on just the Wind.
So it doesn't look like you get the heated steering wheel on either the GT line rear-wheel drive or the Wind rear-wheel drive. So you only get it on the Wind all-wheel drive and the GT line all-wheel drive.
Right.
Now, again, that matches up with the battery size. So you're getting the heated steering wheel on both the all-wheel drive versions that perform the same. That's why I think they should have, linked other options that we went over before in both of those, because that makes a little more sense.
Yep. Alloy pedals and a deluxe metal door sill scuff trim. Both available on the GT line, so special things for them. Then we move on to a gray cloth headliner, which switches over to a black cloth headliner for just the GT lines.
And now we're going to go over quickly the performance. You'll see what we've been talking about the whole time with the all-wheel drive ones kind of matching up with the battery sizes.
Right.
But the light will have less power and a smaller battery.
Yeah. Significantly smaller battery here. You're definitely not looking as much, you're not getting as much of a kick from the light that you would from, Wind or the all-wheel drive Wind.
And you'll see here the kilowatt hours. You'll have 58 kilowatt hours on the light. You'll go to 77 for both the Wind rear-wheel drive and all of the rest.
Right.
The weight obviously increases as the battery size gets bigger, and they all have the same charge port. It will come with a standard charging cable.
Similar charge times across all of the trims here. It looks like it does jump up to 68 hours to charge those slightly larger batteries.
But no one's going to be charging at level 1.
Right.
Basically. Yeah.
So you switch over to a level 2, or sorry, I think this is only level 3. I'm surprised they don't offer the level 2. But level
That's what I was
3
about to say. It's
is about an
crazy.
hour,
Yeah.
a little bit over an hour, which realistically is, they're saying 80%.
Yeah, that takes a while.
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of
a pretty
cars,
slow charge.
Yeah, and a lot of cars, this is the kilowatts, it looks like, so maybe they just are scaling
Oh,
it
that's
differently.
at 50 kilowatts. Yeah,
Yeah.
which I think most superchargers are
Easily do that.
significantly more.
Maybe they're being conservative because they're saying that maybe not all of them do, so they want to make sure that they back up at least that, this amount.
I think you could probably guess that your 80% charge times are probably in the 20 to 30 minute area.
Yeah, and also I really wish that every company started to state what the level 2 charging is going to be for time-wise, because that's, more popular with people who actually have in their house.
Right.
So it'd be nice to show on the website.
So there's a lot of safety options here and a lot of EPA ratings. The EPA estimated range across the board is posted here. So we have a 0 to 232 mile range for the light, 310 miles for wind, 274 for the all-wheel drive of wind, 310 miles for the GT line rear-wheel drive, and then 274 for the GT line all-wheel drive.
I guess one thing with changing the actual trim and them forcing you to get a certain tire and wheel is nice because it doesn't vary the range. It all is one thing. So that's kind of cool that they do that to make sure you're, optimal per trim.
Right. Pretty consistent.
You'll see the drives, so rear-wheel drive for these two, all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive.
Yep. A lot of other technical stats here for the steering type and the driving feel, rear suspension type, that kind of stuff. Turn radius. And lastly, we come down to safety.
Trying to scroll down. So you'll see frontal collision for all of them, avoidance assist with the car, cyclist, and pedestrian detection. Standard across most of the industry. Forward collision avoidance assist with side and oncoming lane change. So you'll see that that's only on the GT lines. Auto evasive steering assist, again, only on the GT lines. And then this one's kind of weird to me. I noticed this earlier. It says blind spot collision avoidance assist is on all of them, but blind spot view monitor is only on these two. And then it looks like it's optioned on the wind, so maybe you have to get a certain interior or color to get that.
Right. It's only available on the GT line, or you can opt into it on the wind all-wheel drive.
Last one, we have smart cruise control with machine learning. Again, that's only on the GT lines.
That's pretty bold. I really would like to know more details about how their machine learning is involved with smart cruise control. If your car can pick up certain habits or certain things that happen on the road and improve from that, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what Tesla and others are doing in the industry, driving a ton of miles to get more information and have it adapt to certain roads. So that's kind of cool. Highway driving assist, you have in the standard, but then you get the upgraded version in the GT lines. Again, I would like to see this in the wind all-wheel drive because you're paying for the bigger battery,
right?
Just not the looks.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of options that I wish weren't super exclusive to the GT line. It looks like they're really pushing for certain features to only be available for those two.
And you'll see, again, surround view monitor. So it's an option on the wind, and the GT lines will get it standard. So a couple different things in the safety. Nothing crazy, but everything else here is standard. And then last, you'll see the warranty, which is 10 years, 100,000 for the battery warranty. The 10 years is very good. The 100,000 is pretty standard at most companies. Normally it's 8 years though, so it's nice to see that. But hey, I mean, it's a nice list to show everything. I know it's a lot to take in at one point, but hopefully we kind of broke it down in, kind of like a summary fashion, and it helped you when you're purchasing your car.
All right, here we are on one of the summary pages for the trims, and something that we weren't really able to find on this website was the 0 to 60 times. So we did a little bit of extra research and found what the speeds were for all the different trims.
So basically on the light rear-wheel drive, the most reliable source we found said it was 8 seconds. On the wind rear-wheel drive, it went down to 7.2 seconds, just a bigger battery. And then the wind all-wheel drive brought it all the way down to 5.1 seconds. But we did see a couple numbers fluctuating from around the 4.7 to 5 second range. So it could be a little quicker than that. They might be being a little conservative, but those are the most accurate numbers we found.
Yeah, you can also probably assume that unless there's some type of huge aerodynamic advantage that the GT line has, that those speeds are probably going to be about the same since the batteries are the exact same. Mm-hmm. So if anything, maybe a few fractions of a second faster from just aerodynamics.
Yes.
Something else to note that we found was the top speed of these cars. Mm-hmm. I believe the light is at 115 miles per hour, and then the wind is 117.
Yeah,
and that's the all-wheel drive. So
yeah, not a huge difference. I guess because it's a little heavier, maybe they just limited it at a certain point.
Yeah, not super fast, especially compared to a few other cars that we've seen.
Yeah, and one thing to note is they might be coming out with a GT version, so not a GT line. They're coming out with a GT version that they're saying could estimate around 3.5 seconds 0 to 60, which is more comparable to like the Tesla Model 3 Performance and the BMW i4 M50. So that'd be pretty cool. Now, one thing we like to do is kind of give you guys our most recommended trim when it comes to affordability and the options that you're getting involved with it. So personally, me and Sam talked about it, and we thought that the wind all-wheel drive was the best option.
Yeah, I think all-wheel drive is definitely what people look for in most electric cars right now because it typically offers that quick torque. It looks for a lot more speed on the highway and pickup from start to go. And I think a lot of the benefits that you get from upgrading are super worth it in this package.
I agree. And it doesn't diminish your range too much. We've seen some cars that have all-wheel drive that really destroy the range. But in this case, it's still at around 274 miles, which is really nice. And I did mention earlier, I like the GT line look a lot better, But in this case, I can't just jump to the most expensive thing because, money is definitely important in this situation. And, that's $4,700 is a lot of money. So
Yep.
I think that this is the best option for us is to choose the all-wheel drive.
All right, so that wraps up our full build guide and rundown on the EV6. And honestly, I don't think it's that bad of a car. I think other than maybe the looks, which are not that great, it's pretty decent for what it has to offer.
Yeah, and again, that's just personal preference. Me and Sam usually agree when it comes to a lot of the looks on vehicles. Maybe it's our age being similar and taste, but I think that the EV6 just personally wouldn't be for me just because of that looks. I know it has some options that you can't get on the Ioniq 5, but the Ioniq 5 for me is a little bit nicer of an option, and we're actually going to do a comparison video on those two at some point, so Look out for that. That concludes our build guide and rundown on the Kia EV6, so don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the future.